The rain was hammering against the windshield of my old pickup truck, mirroring the chaotic storm inside me. I wasn't just losing my wife, Clara. I was losing the future we had meticulously planned, brick by painful brick. For 10 years, I had embraced being the stable one, the quiet provider, the man of routine. I was content being the bedrock. But the true, gut-wrenching moment wasn't when she said she was leaving. It was when she said who she was leaving me for. Her college ex, the man she always swore was a mistake. That single act of betrayal didn't just end a marriage. It became the chemical catalyst for a professional and personal explosion. My name is Julian Hayes. I was 35, and my life was a meticulously planned spreadsheet. I was a senior software architect at Syndicate Financial, a major regional bank. My work was complex, demanding, and utterly secure. My ambition was carefully managed. I had a revolutionary idea, a highly advanced, proprietary B2B data integration platform, but I kept it locked away on a private server. Launching it meant risk, and risk was the enemy of the stability Clara demanded. The perfect life. A charming bungalow in the suburbs, 2 cars, and a retirement fund we checked religiously. My salary ensured her lifestyle, her trips, and her freedom to pursue various passion projects that never materialized. The gut-wrenching moment arrived on our 10th wedding anniversary. I came home with flowers and a small diamond necklace. She met me at the door with a cold, formal handshake and the divorce papers. The reason, she said, was simple incompatibility. But then came the name that twisted the knife deep into my sense of self-worth. Mark Sullivan. Mark was the antithesis of my existence. A trust fund baby whose career was a graveyard of failed ventures. He was superficially charming, reckless, and promised a life of spontaneity. He had reappeared in Clara's life 2 months prior, flashing the last of his inherited capital, bragging about his new venture, a trendy, disruptive e-commerce logistics startup. Clara. Mark understands me, Julian. He gets ambition and vision. You're too safe. You're predictable. You'll die behind a desk at Syndicate. Mark is going to be big, Julian. He has the courage to fail big and then win bigger. Predictable. Safe. The words didn't just hurt. They became an accusation of my entire character. I wasn't heartbroken. I was infuriated. She hadn't just chosen another man. She had chosen instability and superficiality over the decade of my rock-solid commitment. The immediate aftermath was a period of controlled demolition. I moved into a tiny, cramped rental apartment with a single mission: sell the bungalow quickly, divide the assets, and minimize contact. The $80,000 I received from the divorce settlement felt like a meager consolation prize for 10 years of my life. The storm inside me wasn't grief. It was strategic fury. I looked at the blueprint for my data platform idea. It was a complete solution to the antiquated, error-prone supply chain management systems used by almost every mid-to-large corporation. It wasn't just an idea. It was the answer to a trillion-dollar problem. I realized Clara's insult, "You're too safe," had freed me. The stability I craved was gone. Now I could embrace the risk. I gave Syndicate Financial my 2-week notice. My boss was bewildered. "Boss, Hayes, what are you doing? You have the perfect path here. Why are you risking your pension for a startup?" Julian, "Because, sir, I've realized that sometimes the only way to achieve true stability is by building your own foundation. I'm tired of managing risks for other people." I used the $80,000 as seed money, renting a small warehouse district office that smelled of concrete and ambition. I named the company Axiom Systems, a system built on undeniable logical truth, the antithesis of the reckless emotional choice Clara had made. My 2 initial hires were brilliant but disenfranchised coders, people who, like me, valued truth over corporate politics. We worked 18-hour days, fueled by coffee and the burning necessity to prove Clara's narrative wrong. While she was posting filtered photos of exotic vacations with Mark, I was meticulously crafting code that would fundamentally rewire commerce. For 3 years, I operated in a cone of silence. No social media, no interviews, just ruthless focus. Axiom Systems developed and perfected the Quantum Data Integrity (QDI) platform. It was a game changer, eliminating the costly discrepancies that plagued large supply chain and financial compliance departments. Year 1. We secured our first major contract with a regional food distributor. Our revenue was modest, but proof of concept was absolute. Year 2. We expanded into financial institutions, the very places I knew and understood. We moved into a stunning, glass-walled office in the city, a tangible symbol of my victory over the bungalow life. Year 3. A major venture capital firm valued Axiom Systems at $10 million. My worth wasn't tied to a paycheck. It was tied to the unassailable truth of my platform. Meanwhile, I quietly tracked Mark Sullivan's Logistics, Inc. His company was built on hype and Mark's vision, but fundamentally lacked the necessary data infrastructure. I knew the system. It was using an outdated open-source model that was mathematically incapable of scaling without catastrophic failure. I called it the Sullivan systemic flaw. I warned my clients, the major banks, about this flaw, not as spite but as a professional necessity. I explained that any investment tied to Mark's system was a guaranteed liability. The reckoning arrived exactly 3 years and 4 months after the divorce. Mark Sullivan's Logistics, Inc. imploded. A major holiday rush, combined with the systemic data flaw I had predicted, caused a massive inventory tracking failure that led to millions in lost contracts and penalty fees. The company was drowning in debt, lawsuits, and negative press. My phone rang constantly with clients demanding help to sever ties with Mark's toxic business. The irony was exquisite. The financial world, which once dismissed me as too safe, was now paying exorbitant fees for my safety and precision. A major investment bank, a longtime client, handed me a prospectus for the failing company they were about to foreclose on. The name was there. Mark Sullivan's Logistics, Inc. They were looking for a specialist to liquidate the assets. I saw the opportunity not for childish revenge, but for the final, absolute validation. I instructed my lawyer to approach the bank. Julian, I don't want to liquidate it. I want to buy it. I want to acquire all assets and liabilities for a nominal fee. The bank, eager to offload the toxic asset, agreed instantly. I bought the husk of Mark Sullivan's vision. The final acquisition cost was less than 1% of Axiom Systems' valuation. The next morning, I walked into the dusty headquarters of Mark Sullivan's Logistics. I called an all-hands meeting for the remaining employees. Mark, in a crumpled, expensive suit, was there, frantic and desperate. Mark, sweating. Julian, what is this? Did Syndicate hire you to assess the damage? Don't even try to say I didn't have vision. Julian. Mark, your company is no longer called Mark Sullivan's Logistics, Inc. It is now a subsidiary of Axiom Systems, and effective immediately, I am the owner. The room was silent. Julian. Your system failed, Mark, not because of a bad market, but because you built it on a foundational lie, a flawed, non-scalable platform. I, Julian Hayes, the safe, predictable man, predicted this failure 3 years ago. You and your leadership team are terminated. I handed him his final paperwork. Mark stumbled out, not just fired, but erased by the man he had scorned. His entire net worth, his family inheritance, his reputation, was tied up in the failed venture. He left with nothing. The final piece. Clara. She called me the next day, her voice stripped of its arrogance, replaced by frantic desperation. Clara. Julian, what did you do? Mark is ruined. I have nothing. We don't have enough money to pay the rent. You're supposed to be predictable. Julian. I am predictable, Clara. I predict that integrity, hard work, and truth always triumph over reckless arrogance. You chose the high-risk, high-failure path. I built a $10 million empire on the foundation of stability. I'm sorry you lost everything, but that loss is a consequence of your choice. She begged for a job. Julian. Axiom Systems is built on a simple principle. We only hire people who value truth and stability. You chose to abandon both. We have no place for you here. Goodbye, Clara. I hung up, feeling the immense weight of the $10 million empire I had built. The revenge wasn't in Mark's failure. The revenge was the undeniable proof that my integrity was the only sustainable asset. My ex-wife chose her ex. I built a $10 million empire and watched him lose everything. And in the process, I finally became the man who was truly worthy of the future. If you believe that the greatest revenge is massive, clean success built on unshakable integrity, share your story in the comments. And if you agree that truth and stability always win over reckless ambition, hit that like and subscribe button.